way you used to eat, changes in your energy levels, always tired, you know, can barely get yourself out of bed because your mental well-being is not okay. So again, I just wanted to ask a question to the audience. What is one sign that your body gives you when you need to slow down? Because we all experience, different things in our bodies. Some get headaches, migraines, some get stomach aches, muscle pains, all those things when you go to the hospital, they're like, but, we're not really finding anything wrong. It's just prolonged headaches. You take Panadol, you take all the painkillers, you're still having a headache because your mind is just overloaded, you know. So that's also one reflection question that, at the end of this webinar, we should really reflect on, because sometimes we don't even realize that when the physical pain that we have is because of, the fact that we are not okay mentally. So it's very, very good to know that, so that you can also be able to identify that, oh, I think this headache is not really, lack of sleep or whatever, but I think it's because I'm just so overloaded mentally. Okay, so I'm going to move into now building resilience. So resilience does not mean that we never struggle. No. It just means that we should learn how to first adapt to change. There are many changes in the world. Things change all the time. We should be able to adapt to change. We should be able to understand ourselves better. The whole thing of understanding your emotions, understanding your body, understanding when you're triggered, understanding what triggers you, understanding how you should react, understand yourself better, and you'll be able to be more resilient when life throws you curveballs. It's also good to seek support when needed. Sometimes it just needs you to be assisted or supported by somebody else. There are some situations that we can handle on our own, but then there are other situations where if it's too much, you just have to seek support and somebody else should assist you. It can be support from a friend, a close person that you trust, or it can even be professional support from, you know, counselors, therapists, and all. And also, we need to develop healthy coping strategies. Because, like I've been saying, throws, life gives you lemons a lot of times. So you have to be able to know how to make lemonade. You have to be able to know how to manage your stress, manage your emotions in a healthy way. We all know of the different unhealthy coping mechanisms that people use. Some stress eat, some don't eat at all. Some use drugs and substances. Some overwork. There's just so many different, you know, unhealthy coping strategies that people use. So it's very, very important to develop healthy coping strategies because, life is life, and it will always be throwing things that make you feel so overwhelmed and, so stressed. So you have to have strategies that when life throws those things at you, you have to know how to handle them. But when life gets so overwhelming, life gets so busy, you have to know how to manage that, you know, in a healthy way. Another question. I really wanted people to be reflecting on these slides as we go. So, again, when life becomes challenging, what helps to keep you going? That's also something that we can reflect on. I think it also helps us, reflect and also understand, like, oh, okay, when life gets hard, what really do I do? Yeah. So again, it's not something that we are simply born with. It is something that we strengthen over time. it grows, resilience grows through different ways. Self awareness, like I said, being able to understand yourself, know yourself, you grow your resilience, but also connection with others, you know, ties in back to building healthy relationships, having people who support you, having people who are beneficial for your growth, having people who cheer you on, and also just having that sense of purpose in your life, knowing that having something that makes you wake up in the morning, something that you're driven, something that you care for, that also helps build resilience because you know that when you're down, you know that, okay, no, I have to get up so that I have to do that thing my purpose, you're driven by that purpose. And also self care. Like I said, we are always on the go, always wanting to go, go, go. But it's very, very important to take intentional steps to care for our well being. Rest, treat yourself, buy yourself something nice, laugh with some friends. All these things that are good, they all tie into connection, purpose, and caring for yourself. So I'm asking you again, which area would you like to strengthen in your own life? Food for thought. So small daily practices, they matter. Practical ways to protect your mental wellness because resilience again is not something that is just built just like that. It's something that it happens gradually, yeah. So those small daily practices, they matter. You- like rest and recovery, you need to rest. You know, you need to have healthy boundaries, meaningful relationships, movement and physical well-being, mindful use of technology. That one is very important, especially after what we've talked about how today's world is and how social media is and how people are always just comparing and everything. So it's very important to use technology in a very, very mindful manner. And also seeking support when needed. Yeah. And then I also wanted to highlight something about creating a culture of care because mental wellness is not only an individual responsibility, it's something that we can all contribute towards. An individual, yes, has, you take care of yourself and asking for help, that's your responsibility. But also, as families, as communities, we need to create safe spaces and also reducing stigma because if I, as an individual, I know how to take care of myself, and I realize that, oh, I need to ask for help, and then I meet a family member or maybe a community member or a friend who has not created that safe space for me, then that's the barrier that I'm going to meet, even though I had made that initiative to seek for help. But because the person that I reached out to did not create that safe space for me. So it's very important also as people in general to just hold spaces for each other where we can be vulnerable and destigmatize, non judgmental, and allow people to freely express themselves, as well as in our workplaces. This is also one of the areas where people's stress comes in from a lot. If you're at work and you're constantly going, 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 you always want to deliver, and your work environment always wants you to be productive. It's very important as employers, people in the workspace, to also support people beyond that productivity of just work, because for them to be productive, they have to be mentally okay. So it's important to also take proper steps into ensuring that your employees and your staff and the people that you're working with are also supported beyond just them working. Because sometimes support begins with just a simple conversation, just by asking somebody, "Are you okay?" Not just the normal, "How are you? Good morning." You meet somebody at work, "Good morning," but just taking the time to ask, "Are you okay?" and taking that time to listen to them can really, really help. So I am coming to the end of my presentation, and I wanted to emphasize that the world will continue changing. The world is going to continue changing, but we have to choose how we respond to it. We have to slow down, check in with ourselves. We should build stronger connections with people, support each other always, and create spaces where people feel seen. Because mental wellness is not something that we achieve once, like I said. It's not something that can just happen, but it's something that the small practices that we're doing every day, they can, in the end, have a very good impact on our mental health. Finally, I want you to remember these as you're going. Mental wellness, it's a daily practice. So it's the small, small steps that you take every other day that build your mental wellness, that build your resilience and your ability to cope with life. Always check in with yourself. Always have time where you can journal, you can have conversation with yourself, but just check in with yourself and ask yourself, how am I doing? And also being able to identify just the different stresses that you're having in your life and being able to work through them. And you also do not have to face the challenges in life alone. Seeking support, it's a sign of strength. It's a sign of strength when you realize that, okay, I am not okay and I need support in order to help me navigate this. That is so strong and so brave. And finally, small steps can make a big, big difference. I think from all that I have been saying, the small practices, the more you do them, the more mentally healthy you are, the more you cope better with life, and the more you're productive, the more your life is flourishing. So, small steps can make a very big difference. Reaching that far, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you guys so much for being interactive in the chat. I saw you guys there answering the questions that I posed for you, and I hope that even after this presentation, you can still reflect on the questions that were presented. Yeah.
Thank you, Nikiwe. I'm really inspired by your presentation. And that is our mission at Africa Learning Link, bringing together the young African from across the Africa. Like I can remember now you are from Malawi, and now you are able to inspire South Sudanese, you are able to inspire Rwandese, and other nationalities that are in the room. I'm really inspired with the presentation that you have done. And I know each of us has maybe wrote some question down, maybe to ask her, including myself. Now allow me to invite our brother, Acheng Dem. So Acheng is also a guest who is also going to take us through the presentation. So Acheng, if you are now okay with the network, you can maybe introduce yourself to the guest and be able now to present to us this amazing topic of mental health. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Nikki. I don't know if I'm audible, you can take me out. Awesome. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you to thank you everyone. Yeah, would like to appreciate my name from South Sudan. Let me know if I'm audible or if you want me to use my voice, I can do so. But if I'm okay like this, then well, if it's okay like this, then it's okay. We can go. Yeah, my name is Chief and I work for Christian Knights and then I come as South Sudan. I work at the program officer in the organization right right. And it's my pleasure being here today to discuss issues related to mental health. Everything is our mental health. So whatever about one of one of one of our advocates on mental health from Kenya once said that there is no any house without mental health. Like every house is around mental health. Your mental health is not working. Whatever sort of help that we can, it's okay. It is like something that we cannot. So I want to also appreciate the need for the theme that we are discussing today, mental wellness in a changing world. This is where we belong. And on that matters, I quickly entered my discussion with you, the audience of today, and I will start off why this theme of today matters for all of us as young people from Africa, from the world, whatever country where we are. I know as I'm talking today, I'm talking to the people who are in the afternoon, people who are in the morning, and people who are in the evening. So why do this matters to us? It matters to us because the world stands at unique and challenging crossroads. Our traditional communities, selflessness are shifting rapidly. And if I can, if I'm to take you through how my culture where I am today, it is deteriorating. They seem to not with what is happening right now. I think that's a pressure, also a pressure of organization, technology, and economic strength. By the way, economic strength is another problem, also in the country where I live today. And that can also lead to, a trauma, a mental health trauma issues, even a certain few days ago, there was a suicide that was said to be the results of the economic issues, So things are shifting and they are changing, where we used to focus, and they are changing, our brain from realization, to overthinking, making us like to feel like you have failed, to do what you could in life. And that's why I feel like it is a very matter things that we always need to discuss because white man once said that there is no problem that has no solution unless not discussed. So whatever problem brought into the table to be discussed, we must get the solution. And that's why it's important that when we have issues of urgency, we bring them on the table, we discuss, we talk about them. I also want to share my view and also know your view on issues on how do we come to mental health. When we define mental health, it is definition is not fixed, but that definition also sit within the context of the country where you are, also within the context of the culture where you're sitting on. So, but then when you look at this on a global stage, it is a mass more than just an absence of mental health conditions. Like if we refer to what World Health Organization say, the divided up is mental well-being that enable people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn and well work, coordinate, and contribute to the community. You go to school like that, you do something back to the people that you leave behind. There are people who are counting on you. You start from your immediate family. Then after from your immediate family, you go to your clan. From your clan, you go to the community where you come from. From the community, you go to the state. From the state, you graduate like that, not until you become a national figure. But then when you are at the national level, you give back to the nation that where you come from. But then before you live there, first give back to the community where you come from. For first taking world, the drivers of the rapid technology only two seats. Because like I
Hello,
just said,
Akshay. We
yes,
are we are not seeing your screen. Would you allow, like, would you help us maybe? Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Or in case if you have the slide, you can share them with Nikki, and Nikki can be able to help you present them for you if you have technical issue.
Okay, you guys are not seeing my screen. Am I there? Okay, let me share. Okay, okay, then can you share the slide that you have? You can.
I think it can be better if you can share them with Nikki because I'm also doing recording at my end.
Oh,
Yeah, if you can share them with Nikki, then Nikki can help us share them for us as we continue here.
okay, Miku, there you go. You can share with us the screen,
Yeah, you can.
my presentation.
Yeah, you can continue maybe talking as she's presenting. Yeah, I don't know if we are together with Nikki.
Miku, are you there?
Yes, 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 I'm here. I've gotten it. I'll share it shortly.
All right, you can
Oh,
continue as she's preparing to share. Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah. So I was on the definition of mental health, and that's what I have to say. So I'm also going ahead. I would also love to share with you the evolution of the of mental health and how the one see mental health today. You know, when we talk about mental health, as we're talking today, we are talking about the three chips of mental health. And the three chip is beginning the chip one, chip two, and then we are today in chip three. We are today in chip three. And then chip one is a supernatural and moral feeling. I mean feeling. Yeah. You know the view on how people term mental health in a traditional time was quite different than how people have it today. At that very time, at that very moment, during our supernatural ideas, issues like depression, issues like trauma healing were often blamed on the spiritual punishment. A demon, like a demonic possession was like an accusation that somebody might have done something wrong, and it is a spiritual punishment to the person. Yeah, that's how we term those issues of mental health the other day. Like you have money, if you are suffering, if you do all these things that people see, like these are not present. So they definitely term you to be someone who is suffering from spiritual issues. And then after that time, it shifted to institutionalization era. That is where they view, issues to do with mental health to be issues handled within the institution, like if you have issues within the institution, when they notice that the way the way you handle your emotions, the way you react, and the way you perceive whatever communication that has to seem to be differ from what the thing you should be doing. They know that you have issues with mental health, but then now they narrow their focus, on containment control rather than healing or community integration. That was on the second shift. And on the third shift, where we are today is the institutionalizations and community care. Today, when we talk about mental health begin to be understood as a universal, human experience that can be managed with the right support, medicines, and environment. We have understood, of course, there is a need for mental health to be handled at the very right environment, to be handled with support, and also to be handled with medicine. And a large institution is closing down worldwide. The focus shifted toward the community-based care and the crisis counseling and the integrating people back into everyday society. Like in that very time of traditional viewing of mental health, when you are termed to be suffering from demonic possession at the term, you are dissociated from the community, like from the people disowning you. You are termed to be somebody who has committed at least a crime where that no one wants to associate with that because you look somebody who might have been suffering from, you might have done a crime. They say that you might have committed a crime um like 1 2 days that make you to be suffering from this spiritual depression today. So those people were disowned. Unlike today there is understanding of this thing can be handled. So when you are feared to be suffering from mental health, you have there's a way you should be supported. There's a way you should be brought back into the community and associate with people, and talk with people. Next, Nikki. Let's proceed.
Are the slides not moving?
They are not.
They're not.
The-
Okay, let me see.
They are moving on my end. Maybe it is the network at the chair side.
Oh, okay.
Like, because
Yeah,
now
because
I can see why now.
yeah. Hi, I checked. I think he's having network issues.
Yeah, it's having network issues. Maybe he can maybe leave and maybe rejoin back if he's with us.
Yeah, let's just tell him that in the chat.
Mm. All right. I think as we wait for him, I will ask this question to Nikiwe. Maybe if he joins later, maybe you can answer it. Maybe if he's done, but if it's not done, maybe you can continue with that question. There is this scenario. Are we together, Nikiwe?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. There is this scenario
Yeah.
where now, like we, the human beings, sometimes to some extent, some of us, you are controlled by the external influence in a way that if I wanted to do something to myself, I thought of, if I do this, people will judge me, people will do this. So, yeah, it's back. Yeah.
Oh,
Can you
people
see?
lost me.
Can you see now?
Yeah,
All right, you can continue.
yeah. Actually, I'm done with that part. Okay, I'm back where it's taking my come from and explain the global health inequality, like how people, local. No, no, no. Yes, yes. If you back, I mean, proceed to the next slide. Yes. So let's look into the heavy drivers of the heavy drivers actually. Yes, they are. So let's look into the heavy drivers of the youth mental health as we talk today. Overthinking.
But once it's really not a lot.
Are you getting me?
Money, I think, don't worry.
Amaka, you not getting me?
Proceed.
Okay.
We can hear you.
So, but thinking, express as talk, as talk correctly in Dinka languages, for example, yes, see, Jerry, Ibari, Ashiromo, Ishuro, overthinking, exaggerating, when you overthink, like, when we read into a scenario where people talk and solve their own for the whole day, should you fail to provide the needs? Should you fail to discharge your responsibilities? The only solution is to lock yourself inside the room, and then you think being inside the room for the whole day will give you a solution, and describe as a state of being mentally, paralyzed by the constant worries and stresses that you have around you. The always on digital culture, like the comparison trap, something that we talked about before. When you go to online, you see how things are working outside. You feel like you're being left behind. You feel like the world you are in is not the world where you were supposed to be in. But then failing to understand how do those people that no one is there, they reach there, but then overthinking, like you become over ambitious on how should you go there, it also causes you mental issues, and I have up there fear of missing out. That they come from psychologists term it as fear of being of missing out. So if you have that fear of missing out, it makes you mess up things. You do things like you want to go there one day time, but it's not a one day time mission. So economic and career uncertainty, cost of living, the rate cost of living, housing, and education leave many young people feeling an instance, I talked about this before, and I gave an example of that who committed a crime, I mean suicide, a few days ago because of her feeling like she's not being enough, she's not providing the needs, then failing to discharge your responsibility at a certain time, you feel like, hey, so now if I'm not doing enough, then all the blame will be on me. So the, the small brain say things that when you die, right, you are free from all the problems. Next thing, what are the effects of those as drivers to the youth? Are the young person today? What are the effects of those drivers? We have seen economic issues, we have seen comparison always on social media, seeing things that are unique and feel behind. We have seen all those things. Now, academic find out and drop out. Now, when you overthink like that, your performance will definitely decline. And as I'm much aware, most of us are people who are still pursuing our education, either at the secondary level, either at the university level, whatever, either a degree or master degree that we are pursuing at the university level. But then, do those activities that you are doing as of today require you to have that overthinking, that they also require you to have issues to do with mental health, like the way you handle your emotions when you're going into the studies room, like way you handle your reactions, like way you avoid things. I think this matters a lot. And if you don't know how to avoid certain things, how to maintain your behavior, I mean your emotions, it definitely affects you and your performance will deteriorate. Emotional and psychosocial effects such as loss of self-worth, I've already talked about that. Physical health effect. Physically, you will definitely have those effects like young people dealing with heavy psychosocial burdens of pain experience, frequent tension, headaches, muscle tightness, and another physical, issues to like to do with stomach ache. More the things are caused are the result of mental health. And if we don't, deteriorate from such practices, and if we don't know, and if we don't find out what are the factors and how should I be safe from mental health, you will definitely suffer from such effects and also social and related effects. Like I've talked about a supernatural effect as one of the chiefs in the past. Now, those people seem like when you are suffering from mental health, people think that you have committed a crime and that now you are suffering the consequences of the crime that you have done to the community. So whatever trauma that you're going through should be termed as the punishment for whatever problem you have done. But then that is where the stigma begins from. And you feel like should you get exposed to people, should people know that you're suffering from mental health, definitely you will be termed as somebody who has done wrong in the past. So that makes you to, to stay back, you sit back and you stay where people are not seeing you. It cut off your relationship, your connection, your interaction with people. And as the world of today, the world of connection, should you fail to connect with the people that are around you, definitely your way forward is almost 0%. Next, okay, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, and as I'm coming to the end of my presentation, the next slide is the way forward, so that we have seen where we have understand what is the definition of mental health, the chiefs of the definition, I mean of mental health, what causes mental health, and what are the effects we have also seen. Then now, what do we do the way forward? How do we handle that? So accessible localized care. These are things that we advocate in our day-to-day life and in everything that we do. We have to make sure that a bit of this discussion is part of us, like making professional counseling and psychosocial support approachable and physically accessible with schools, community centers, and health clinics, rather than keeping them behind expensive private wards. You know, like in South Sudan where we are, it is hard for people to access that. Okay, definitely the one effect that we don't have those government facilities that are accessed for free. And like they are there, but then if you go, they are limit number one, you can get exactly what you need that in those places. So it becomes a challenge for you to get access to those medicines that today's people to also get access to psychosocial support, get access to counseling. So it's a problem. We also thought of integrating well we also
I'm the meeting. Yeah, long
uh,
time indeed.
just
I'm
shouldn't
always here, but
pressure cook
I'm in a way.
shouldn't
I
just be
started
a
you
pressure cookers of grudge. They must integrate
yeah,
emotional
so I'm always in
regulation,
you that's
stress
why.
management, and mental health issues directly in the
This
core program.
yeah,
So
next year,
whatever
sure.
program
Yeah,
that we have, that we are
it's okay.
we
We
shouldn't have
interact. Mm.
those key measures on how we can manage stress. Even in this school stress that there, if you feel like that, definitely you can't stress, because you feel like anxiety. I've just seen something. I've just seen something. I think they will support us if it's better maybe. But then I've seen something on social media that there's a young South Sudanese from Rwanda that has been arrested and like she has been sent to jail. She will be sent to jail for 2 years. Then she will pay fine of some amount of money, maybe because she failed the cost, and then she definitely slapped the lecturer, and then threatened the lecturer that the lecturer will pay the consequences. And because she has tried to make sure that the lecturer make her fast the cost, but the lecturer refused. So because of that, he acted. So he retaliated. So, but then now it became a worse part. Failure to control your emotion. How do you react? When certain things is like out of hand, how do you handle it? How do you do it? Mental health. That lady now, she's facing those issues. I don't know, but then I've seen online, but then maybe not true because social media nowadays is giving us wrong information. But then I believe somehow, somewhere, it might be true. And if it is true, they will give us an highlight of this. And if it is true, this is definitely, the failure. This is definitely failure to integrate, the stress management, emotional regulation, and how when you are in university and you have failed the course, how do you, how do you manage the stress that you are in? Pressure support and dialogue clubs. We need to have this dialogue, this place where we can discuss. We discuss with one another. We discuss your issues that we are facing also. There's that one person that you trust that when you tell the person the problem that you are facing, you will get solution. So when we have this club of health class, and then destigmatizing language, like there are those languages that does not help us the deep. We feel like we need to get help as quickly as we can. There are languages that cannot, and that do things like, what is wrong with you? You know, those are languages that we need to associate with if we think we need to stigmatize and vulnerable over isolation. You don't just need to stay alone when things are hard, like when you fail the exams, when you have stressed, you are okay, you play the school, I mean, the tuition fee, or with the game, these games with the thinking at the back of your brain that you give money later and then you pay the money and then the balance will remain with you or you forget money. At the end, you end up losing all the money and you feel like the world is done. You lock up yourself, you don't need to associate with people, you don't need to share the problem with people. It's a problem. So come out, share with us, let us know that you have eaten the tuition fee. And we find the solution other than you locking yourself and then isolating yourself from the people. Next, if you eat, do we have the next slide? EQE, right? Oh, okay. So that's the end. I can receive your questions and answer if you come. If you have, then I'm ready. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Dave. That's the end of my.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother, for the nice presentation. I really appreciate you. And to the audience that are around, I hope you are inspired by this conversation. And I want to remind you that this conversation is not only based uh, in South Sudan, in Rwanda, in Malawi. These are Africans who have maybe organized this webinar and came together to share ideas. So feel free to interact, feel free to connect. We are in different part of the world, and we do also like, to listen from different perspective, because we have seen now mental health is a very big problem as the world is evolving in technology, in climate change, and a lot of things. And as they have been focusing on many things, I think we have maybe got something that we are going to go home later with. And I really appreciate them for that. And with that, I will ask some two questions. One will go to a check and then one to Nikiwe. And the audience that are in the room, we are also allowed to ask some questions. I've seen someone requesting for a slide after the presentation. Definitely, I will reach out to the presenters, then I will share them with you. Yeah. So I will share the email later that you can maybe reach out to us so that we can help you with that. So to Nikiwe, if you are around, so I'm going to proceed on that question that I was asking you. So I mentioned before there's a scenario now where we, the human being living in the earth, we feel like whatever decision we made, we seek validation more than making our thought first. Sometimes maybe if I wanted to go out, I would say maybe if I do this, maybe a chair will judge me. People outside will judge me, rather than even focusing some time on yourself and be able maybe to also think about what you are doing. So as someone who is into mental health and maybe someone who has maybe idea, what can you maybe tell those people who are suffering from that to be able to copy, even sometimes to also believe on themselves rather than being controlled, by the external influence, basing ideas on some people. Sometimes it's training. Yeah. So that is the question to you. So if you're maybe around, you can be able to answer that. Then I will come to a chair. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ken, for that question. And yeah, I think you're very right. A lot of us really hold back or like we face that barrier where we want to do things, we want to live life in a certain way, but we're also just overthinking about what will this and this person say about it. But we can't deny that there's always going to be external influences because we live in societies, we live in communities, we live in families. So we can't completely remove those external influences because they're part of it all. But it's also now tying back to what I talked about understanding yourself and knowing yourself and your values. Because when you are clear about who you are, your values, what matters to you, how you handle life, what you can't, what like the things that you can't engage in, that makes it easier for you to also be guided, yes, by the external influences, but mainly by yourself and how you are. And it's also important to understand that just as you have your values, people have their own values. So sometimes people try to project their own values on you. They try to make you live life the way that they live life. So you have to understand that, accept and understand that everyone is different, everyone has their own journey. People often judge things based on their own experience. So just build those supportive connections. Surround yourself with people who should encourage you, people who know who you are, know your values, know that this is Deng, this is how he walks through life. So that even when you're making these decisions and you're trying to do these things, they can also encourage you and also discourage you when you're also doing the wrong decision, because we can't deny that sometimes even ourselves we might do a bad decision, we might do a decision that is not the best for us. So these external influences, they are both sides, they're both positive and negative. So it's just important to understand that we're living life with other people. Don't ignore the people around us, but just listen to the things that are aligned with who you are and the values that you hold. I think that's the best way that I can answer that question. Thanks.
Thank you, Nikiwe, and I'm really happy for that answer. And definitely, that is it. Always, humans are like that. You want someone to live the way you live, and maybe to also follow your values, maybe that the values that are tied to your cultural things, and maybe sometimes it's not like important. So, and I understand that knowing yourself is the key, to this problem. And thank you for that. To a chair, I will ask on the context of South Sudan, as someone who was born in South Sudan and raised up in South Sudan, I understand that our people turn mental health into maybe a problem. For example, if I tell you now, I check that you have mental health issues, it is an abuse. They will say that it's an insult. To the extent someone wanted to fight with you, you see. So as you guys are advocating for that, what measures or what are you people doing to tackle those problems? And maybe someone who is maybe here in the room and also maybe is facing that challenge. What can you tell them maybe to be able to approach such people when maybe they're reaching out to people, because mental health is termed as something that is bad, and they don't understand that it's something that is is normal, is in our daily life. So what are you guys putting in place to like to make people who are advocating safe and to make people understand as well? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Then I think that the question is really right. People run away from mental health. When you tell the person that you have mental health, somebody will run away. They will not accept that they have mental health or they're suffering from it. Though it is clearly that these people must have been suffering from whatever type of mental health that this person is going through. And I first wanted to add on to the questions of Nikki. Sometimes what Nikki said is truly true. That is a reality that most especially in South Sudan, if I use the context of South Sudan, say that when I say this, people will say this about me. When I do this, people will do this about me. But it is true, even without you sharing whatever idea, even without saying anything, people are already talking about you. But then, bringing your idea out, is another way of allowing people to change your idea. The only thing that you don't need to do, just like Nikhil say, is of two ways. It is of advantage and it is of disadvantage. Some people may go, against your idea, not because it's not a good idea, but because they knew that if they support this idea will succeed and they don't want it. They mind, when you succeed, they will be like, hey, but then how did this person go like this? So they will definitely, you know, they will definitely discourage your idea. But then as a person, you bring your idea and then focus. Focus. Just know what people will say. And your idea, your reason is not to change your mind when people talk bad things. But then your aim is to make sure that you get people who will change their idea to go to the right track. So don't lose the track. Give your idea out, but then don't lose focus. Even if they say what and what, you already had a plan on how this idea will flow. Continue to go. Everything must go through that way. There's nothing that can just go together. Now to come back on my questions, it is true. In South Sudan, people run away from, mental health. Not even in South Sudan, even in other countries. When you go and tell a person, when you go and tell Nikki, you are suffering from mental health, she will not accept. She will not. Because just like I've said, in the first shape of supernatural thing or view, the people view it like if you are suffering from mental health, you might have done something wrong, so you are serving your punishment. And that's why that's the spiritual punishment. So that means you have committed a bad thing. So everything is how to talk to one another. Even when I have done wrong things, apart from mental health, you don't just need to tell me in the public that check you did A and B, and that is very wrong. I will not accept that I have done wrong. You call me out in a very conducive environment and I feel like I'm safe. Whatever thing you will tell me that I'm wrong, I will accept it because it is us, it is me. And then I will tell you, okay, fine, what do you think I should have done? When you tell me that actually you were wrong here and here, and then it is between me and you, I will say, it's okay, fine. But then what do you think I should have done? I will get a solution there. So in discussing mental health, we talked about do no harm, awareness. Do no harm investigation. That means do no harm to make sure that whatever problem that the person is facing, it is difficult and secure from the public access. It is very automatically, secure from the public access. So we identify for one to identify the person, you find a very proper way of approaching the person. Interact, let the person know that you are not coming as a bad person, but you are coming as a good person. You have very bad, a very good feeling, but not a ill intention of patronizing or on tarnishing somebody. And let the person know that I assure them that whatever thing that you will discuss will remain, without being disclosed to another person. And then that person will definitely give you all the information that they want. So it's just all about, letting the person out of the public, discuss two of you, and let the person know the issues up to A and B are because of 1, 2, 3. Thank you. So if you are satisfied and the answer is not, I'll be able to add more. Thank you.
All right, thank you, brother, and I really appreciate the amazing answers that you have shared. And as we know, as we live life, mental health is with us, and it's around us, and it's created by us. Now, with that, I will allow maybe the audience, if you have maybe a question, a recommendation, maybe you can raise your hand, and then I will be able to pick you. So, Cedric Banda, I don't know if I maybe pronounce the name well. Maybe you can unmute and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the moderator. At least you have tried to pronounce Banda. Yeah, so that's it. So it's Citric Banda. I should appreciate Nikiwe in the Aki. I don't know if I pronounced well, but great presentations, great insights, and they tackled a lot of things concerning about mental health. I'm looking at, I was just maybe doing my small analysis by just guessing that almost maybe the participants that we are attending this webinar, we might be maybe youth and young adults, somewhere around those age range. And also looking at the statistics that we get about issues about mental health, issues about maybe that comes because of the mental health. We're talking about maybe suicides and so on. They are also affecting a lot of youths and young adults. We are, I think, almost we hold a very good percentage of those that are being affected. Looking again at the topic that we are discussing today, it's about mental health in a fast changing world. Looking at that fast changing world, and most of the changes that are happening in this fast changing world, they are also affecting about maybe, or I would say 80% they are affecting youths and young adults. My question to the presenters would be, there are so many programs that maybe have come across targeting maybe mental health about youth and young adults. So my question is, we're still having those issues coming now and again, and they also still they continue to happen and affecting youth and young adults. Where are we going wrong, or what are we missing that maybe we can be able to do so that maybe in this fast changing world, youths and young adults cannot be affecting so much. They should be able to look at their mental health status. Over to you, the presenters and moderator. Thank you so much. I'll come again maybe for a certain comment, maybe a life experience, what I felt that is working well, concerning some of the things that I went for. But so far, maybe I can just put that one as a question. Thank you so much, and over.
Thank you. I think all of you have got the question. Nikiwe, over to you. You can maybe dive in.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Cedric, for that very, very important question. I think it also touches on something that many of us in the mental health space also reflect on. Like, we're doing a lot of awareness, despite all the increased awareness, the programs that are being created, but we're still having rising cases in young people who are like facing significant mental health challenges. I think personally, what I think is we need to recognize that okay, mental health is like it's affected by different things in our lives. It's not influenced by just one factor. It's like an environmental thing. So we can create the awareness, the counseling, the programs, but if the environments that the young people are also in are not changing, then that's where the barrier might be. Because as I ended my presentation, I also touched on the context of care, like how we all have a role to play in taking care of the next person. So young people today are dealing with pressures around different things. Talk about education, unemployment, money, social media, like relationships. There are so many things that are like happening. So maybe sometimes it's like the challenges are growing at a faster rate, but the support systems that they have, the support systems that should be able to help these youth navigate the challenges are not really as strong. But also another thing is that mental health usually is responded to when it's like when it has reached like crisis level. We're making interventions that are focusing on youth or young people that are already struggling, substance use, recovery things, addiction recovery, something that has already reached a crisis level. Now we're responding to it. We still need to intensify on awareness and also prevention and promotion programs where we can have programs to teach these young people on all these things that we have discussed, building resilience. Because, like we've said, life is always going to throw things at you, but you need to have the necessary skills, necessary information, necessary support to be able to navigate through life. So I think at the end of it, a young person might know that, understand your emotions, know how to react and everything, but if the environment that they're in is still full of stigma and is not that supportive space for them, then we're not really, doing, we really need to do more. Yeah. But thank you so much for that question. I think it's a very important question. It's also something that we also need to reflect on. Where are we falling short and what do we need to do better?
Yeah, thank you, Nikki, for your response. And thank you, Secretary Banda, for your questions. Um, Nikki answered it, but then I also need to echo on what she has said. Exactly what you have said is what is now, uh, happening. The most people that have been affected by mental health are young people. They are the very people who are looking for the job but they can't get job. They are also the very people who have the family that they cannot support because they cannot get the money. They are also the very people that are failing exams in the schools, maybe because the level of concentration was not good enough, and they have been affected by the stress. They don't know how to manage the stress. They don't know how what next, you know. And second point, you feel like when you fail the course, the next job for you is resign. These are the very people who are being affected by this. But then this is just because the level of awareness is just very small. There's no a very proper a good awareness that has been done on around the world. So the most important thing that I can say is to make sure that we advance advocacy, we advance awareness on mental health, we let the people know what is mental health, what causes mental health, and how should we manage. What are the parts. So the most important part is make sure that people understand how it can be managed. Like if people can understand how it can be managed, it's very positive. I also hope the most important thing that we also need to be advocating for mental health, awareness. We have to make sure that there is a proper integration of mental health in all and every HCC that we have, whatever location we have, like that. There is a very accessible way onto mental health activities. Like if every PHC has mental health unit, it will be very simple for people to assess, to assess issues around mental health. Whatever clinic or whatever whatever primary health center you're going in, you get a unit for mental health awareness. And then as youth, you also need to be part of this campaign. You don't need to stay behind. Get involved, advocate for mental health, be part of it, and definitely you will perfect yourself. And when you're perfecting yourself, you're also changing another person. The person of your age will say that, oh, God, I think this is something that I also need to do. And a bit by a bit, we are changing. Just like he would say, it's not a one-day mission. It's a change, and change does not come one. So if you get if you involve yourself as a person, if all of us today, the 13 of us are here, and more people that are here, we all get involved into this campaign. That means you will even one, two people to follow, you other people, another two, three people to follow, and then we achieve. Thank you.
All right, thank you, our guest, for those amazing answers. I really appreciate it. And yeah, as we are approaching to maybe an ending, I don't know if there is maybe any other question around. And if not, we can maybe end here. And if there's a question, I will maybe appreciate maybe to see the hand. Uh, Only one question, then we maybe go.
Right, Dane, there's a question in the chat by Cedric.
Okay.
He's asking, are economic factors also holding the challenges on mental health among young people? Looking at mental health services are expensive. Okay, yeah. So I think let me just proceed to answer that a bit. That's also one of the barriers that we face when it comes to mental health support and care, because sometimes like the pressures or the challenges that young people face are also tied to finances in some instances. So I think it's important also to emphasize on the ability of community support and that community-based approaches. We also need to look at mental health support beyond only clinical services. I'm not disregarding professional therapy and psychiatric care because those are very, very important. But we also need to do this community-based approach, mental health education in the communities, things like peer support, safe spaces, the whole thing of having supportive workplaces and supportive work environment and schools and everything. And like Achek was saying, it's also important to advocate for mental health to be treated as like part of healthcare, to be found in like the healthcare facilities that we're in, so that it shouldn't be something like a luxury. Some people say like, therapy is for rich people, something like that. It shouldn't be that. It should be mental health support integrated at the lowest level of care, like in the communities. Somebody should be able to go to the community health center and be able to be supported for their mental health, so that they shouldn't really like they shouldn't be stressed about, okay, I don't have money to pay a therapist. It can be as easy as, okay, let me go to my community health center and also get support from the healthcare workers at that level. Yeah, something like that. I check, maybe you also have an addition for that.
All right. I think a check is muted. Maybe you have answered it. I can see another hand is up, but uh, as per now, I think we have now been went beyond our time, and we didn't waste time. We were sharing ideas. I really appreciate all of you, Nikiwe, a check for the insight that you guys have shared. Now I would allow you guys to give one remark, the closing remark, maybe in 1 minute, all of you, and Nikiwe and a check, and then we maybe call it a day. And yes, for those who were not here, maybe we'll be able to watch the recording because the session was also recorded. Can get it on YouTube, and then also they can also get it on LinkedIn. So it was recorded. Yeah, maybe you can give us maybe your closing remark, and then maybe we call it a day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dane. My closing remarks. I have very much enjoyed this conversation. I am very grateful for Deng and Achek for inviting me to be a guest on this webinar. I've enjoyed sharing this knowledge with the team, and also it's been an interactive discussion. And I think one of the biggest reminders that I want everybody to take away is that mental wellness is not something that we can just achieve in one day and then forget about it. It's something that we need to be nurturing every day. We're building that resilience. We're intentionally taking care of our mental health. And also that mental health is not only an individual's responsibility. The discussion here, we have seen that we all need to care for each other. We all have a role to play, so we have to be having these conversations more and more in our families, in our communities, in our workplaces, in the environments that we're in. We just have to normalize this conversation so that people should also understand that mental health is very, very important and it should be very, very taken seriously. So I hope you leave today with the reminder to take care of your mind, always checking in with yourself, and remember that seeking support is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you value yourself, you love yourself, you care for your productivity, your well-being, and your yeah, you just value yourself. I think let me stop there. Again, thank you so much for having me here and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikiwe, and our greeting to Malawi, like to Malawi people from Kigali, and we are happy for your insight. And maybe now over to check if he's around.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, David, and Unity, and the audience who are here on my listening to us. It's very important that we all turn up for these activities. This seems like a waste at certain time, and when people are third thought, but then I feel like if you give it a bad thought of coming here, that is the best thought that you should always have. I want to appreciate African Learning Link for this very important, gathering. You did it voluntarily. You did not ask you did not ask for money to open up this space for us here. Also, the money for the bundle, I mean, for the bundles have intended to be online, and also bringing her on here to discuss with our brothers and sisters of the world. Like this is the African one. With African one, we need to change one another. I always tell young people that when you are suffering from a certain problem and you don't look for a solution, you will become a problem in the community because you will contaminate people around you. So the most important thing is you have a problem, is look for a solution before you contaminate the next person. And this is the African man. When we see the problem, we definitely comes in and we seek for way forward. When we get the way forward, the African that is coming after us is a very healthy one. And that is the African that we need to build. To every person who is here, please make sure that mental health is a problem. And just like I was sharing with you, what has just happened in Rwanda, let's always be very vigilant with our reaction. Let's always see things with the second thought. Don't like the solution, don't like when you understand exactly what you're handling. And that's why we say that mental health is ability for you to first evaluate on your reactions, how you handle your emotions, how you give a second thought to something on your table is very important. And let's always see that we approach one person in a very weak way, in a very understandable manner, and we don't tell them that you are suffering from mental health. They will not accept that they are suffering from mental health. So let's always have a friendly discussions and in front or in the middle of the, maybe not in front, but in the middle of our discussions. If it is necessary, we discuss issues pertaining mental health. And we shall be saved. And if we are saved, definitely the children that are coming after us will be saved. And if they are saved, the African that we are looking at is the same African. So thank you very much. Take the word of mental health and make sure that you get yourself involved in each part of this campaign and be part of this one. Also advocate for mental health where you are, advocate for the integration and hold the government accountable, but not just the way I have been seeing people questioning government, questioning individual, but questions government responsibility to make sure that mental health are integrated are integrated into health facilities that we have, and we shall be said, know that there is no health without mental health. Every health starts with mental health. Up to here, I want to say that thank you so much today, and big appreciation to African Learning and I will always value that support.
Thank you, brother Check, for the insight and our greeting to people in Juba. Greet them on our behalf. And after here, I will declare the session is closed. And to everyone who has attended, my email is there. You can maybe get it and you can reach out to me. I will share you the slide for those who are requesting for the slide. And yes, for any question, still you can be connected to them. They are here to help you. They are here to share the knowledge, and that is the purpose of being here. And with that, have a good night, or maybe have a good morning, or have a good afternoon, wherever you are, and see you maybe in the next webinar. See you guys.
Thank you so much, and thank you for moderating. It was very nice, and we hope to see you again in the next webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I'm happy for you, for all of you. Yeah, bye.